and better than ever, we've got Hanzo over here, Sideshow Gaming. We've got the Great Blob, as he's known in the wider gaming community, Harsha, and even the ex-tank main, Reinforce, our roommate. I think he hates his life, but welcome to Through the Grapevine, episode 10. Let me sheath my sword quickly.
Bren, you realize the family upstairs has an infant baby.
Fuck him.
And it's 10 p.m.
There is no family upstairs, John.
Fuck the family.
Upstairs.
I hear babies screaming at night every time I go to
upstairs?
They're actually there.
Yes.
I think they're across
upstairs? There's no more
so it's only
apartments
me then.
upstairs.
I'm fairly certain the baby you hear upstairs.
What? There's a
Sideshow.
6th floor.
Yeah, I'm the only person upstairs from us, and if you're hearing babies, mate, sometimes I come back, I don't remember a night out, but I think I was just having a midnight snack one night.
All right, so first point of talking, as they call it.
We've missed a lot.
We've missed a lot. We've had a bit of a hiatus from the podcast.
Wait a second, we fucking started.
Hiatus?
What is it?
A hiatus. We've had
Try again.
a bit of a hiatus.
A hiatus.
That's not it.
Where to go?
Hiatus? There's no fucking way. I'm searching this up.
Keep in mind that he's paid to speak.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's like if this guy honestly just read it.
It actually is a hiatus.
Of course it is.
I thought you were joking. I've always look, right. We've had a hiatus.
We've had a haters. We've had a couple of haters.
Definitely had them. And now it's time to get into the business, and that is talking about us. So,
I don't even have this document.
Johnny, don't worry about it. Don't worry. I am the host. I will guide us along. That is my job.
Okay.
How's life, Johnny?
Well, it's going.
It doesn't really get much worse than that, does it? The levels of life.
I'm waiting for it to end.
The levels
Today
of life doesn't
know,
actually exist, and then it's going.
Yeah, no. I went to the gym, and then I got a haircut, so it was a pretty good day. And then Bren and Sideshow wakes up at like 1 p.m. and they're like, we're gonna fill the house and apartment with grapes! And we're gonna dress up as Hanzo and Genji! And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So that was like 8 hours of our day. Yeah. It's going.
What about yourself, Harsha? I don't know. Were you the coach when we last did our episode? I think you were.
I think I was.
Yeah. So
I think you were just starting.
How's your life now that Shock aren't winning games?
So when does your job actually start?
Yeah, there we go. Banter all
right. And Sideshow, what about you?
My life's doing really well. I want to actually know what Harsha does for the San Francisco Shock. I feel like we never really touched on that. You've had a whole stage to get integrated into the team. What's your role? What do you do?
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think I started when we last recorded, so I was probably just saying things that I didn't know the full breadth of.
Very possibly.
Yeah.
Bren does that all the time.
Yes.
It does happen quite a bit. No, I mean, basically, on some days I'm just in with the team, watching over scrims, watching over things that we should be doing, and then other days I'm doing like VOD review. I think, what's his name? The analyst from Korea, Yongbong Tang, he like made a pretty reasonable summary, I would say, of like the duties of like coaches and analysts and stuff. So like in particular, I like watch a lot of what the other teams are doing and like how to best prep for that kind of.
Okay.
So what is Yongbong Tang actually going to bring to the league? Not the league.
What is he going to bring to the overarching league?
No, what's he doing?
I'd like to see him and Nate Nancer fight to the death.
Yongbong Tang is the
Sorry, what am I talking about? Not Yongbong Tang, Young Buck. That's the name of your guy, right? Oh, Junk Buck. You actually pronounced the hard J.
Oh, you thought it was Yunk.
Yeah, I thought it was Young Buck.
No, it's Junk Buck.
Johnny.
This shit's boring. Nobody cares about this. This shit is fucking boring. Sideshow, tell me about your life. What have you been doing?
I've been desperately trying to lead Bren through, like, I'm the counterpoint of sanity to whatever Bren tries to come up with. You know, try and make it funny rather than just mentally
Not when you're drunk, in a way. And then like the roll switches and it's a mess.
I'm not the one bringing eagles to the apartment at 3 a.m. when I've got work the next day. So let's move on to stage 1. Stage 1. We've been and done it. It's finished. Overwatch League is over, apparently. At least for stage 1, it is. And we saw the Mercy meta. We saw teams. We saw upsets. We even saw drama. Birdring swearing at the entire population.
Profit, but fair enough.
My bad.
We were sat up top one time behind Mano and a couple of the other Korean players from NYXL, and one of the guys in the crowd just like this classic American bro dude just turns around and goes, "Yo, are you the middle finger dude?" Just pointing at Mano, just randomly, just I don't know, just picked out a Korean person in the crowd, I guess.
Not even from the correct
they don't even not even from the correct team. Don't really look alike. I thought that was fantastic. We had to
they look kind of like Mano and Profit, no?
Do they? No, Prophet's like a little child. Prophet
But so
looks
is
super
Mano.
young.
So
Mano
now
has
you're
that little hint of like darkness around him.
It's just a
Little hint of darkness.
Yeah, Mano's got two sides. Mano is what Janus should be. Like Janus is like a two-headed Roman god, right? But Janus doesn't have a dark side. Mano does. I'm telling you, that guy's like he's really
talking about?
weird shit with Sabiobi sometimes, or he can just look like the little darling of the team.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, stage 1, been and gone. We're going to brush past the fact that I confused Birdring and Profit. It's very easy to do.
Just like the man in the crowd.
He flipped the bird.
Exactly, just like the man in the crowd. Well, I mean, we'll talk about, I guess, finals, because once again, I was the only person to predict the actual winner. Again, reoccurring theme, it seems. I'm the only person who seems to get any sorts of predictions right.
All right. Tell me this. Why the hell did you predict them? Why, when they were 0-2 down, did you predict the reverse sweep from London Spitfire when they lost to them earlier in the day, and it wasn't their meta?
Variety of reasons.
Okay. Give me one.
So, LW Blue, the core of the roster, traditionally chokes at finals. Okay.
Actually, never played a final apart from IEM Kyangi.
They choke.
And I won that.
They choke. They choke. Chokers. Bunch of chokers. Secondly, I had heard internal information that whilst New York was napping, London was internally scrimming the maps they were uncomfortable with. And both of these teams actually were uncomfortable with the maps they were playing. So London were working out the kinks of whatever they had. They were learning what they wanted to run, whilst New York were just fucking around sleeping. That gave me a bit of hope.
I think
that's actually, I don't know if we want to delve into this because this is a pretty boring topic, but it's pretty interesting that you play 14 maps in a day.
It
and
is.
You decide to scrim.
That's crazy. That's mental, isn't it? Because when I heard this, I was like, that can't be fucking right. Because they had already played essentially up to that point, up until the end, 14 maps.
And they were literally
more
the
on
first
top.
match. They were literally the first match
Yes,
of the
they were
day.
the first match of the day.
Yeah.
And they scrimmed in between. They were looking for scrims. They couldn't find any. So, like, fuck it, let's do an internal scrim and just practice all of our maps.
It's pretty smart, actually, because when you've played, I mean, I've played 10 maps in a row at E-League when we reverse swept FaZe and then went on to lose versus Misfits in Game 5. And I mean, after like 7-8 maps, you lose all sense of critical thinking, and you just play based on instincts. So if you get a few scrims in, you'll still be as tired, but you'll play more instinctively correct, I guess.
It turns out that was the secret. They just needed to stop thinking.
Yeah, I could make a Dragon Ball Super reference here, but nobody would get it.
Some of our viewers, I think, would probably...
Ultra Instinct mode. That's what London went. Fucking pulled out the old Ultra Instinct. Just let it all go and just fucking started dodging fists. Coming at them with the Mercy Blaster.
New York also started to try and play dive and ran the same exact strategy like 3 times in a row on Horizon. Then
why did Mono get swapped out?
I have no idea.
Again,
never swapped in.
I couldn't have predicted that, but that was a bit of a throw.
He was still asleep.
Yeah.
They were just napping the whole time, weren't they? So, Mano, they just couldn't rouse him from his sleep.
Because I haven't been impressed by Janus like all of stage 1, pretty much. Mono has been the better tank overall all the time, pretty much.
The reason that they said before that they wanted to field Janus is like they field Janus with Pine because Pine's more aggressive, so they have to give him the resources, and Janus plays like low resource or something.
But they never played Pine on Dorado. They should have played Pine on Dorado, but they didn't.
They do against shit teams, don't they?
They did against every team apart from in the
versus like San Francisco Shock.
Taking jabs at Shock.
I don't even know if it did play versus.
We didn't even play NYXL during stage 1, but good try.
I understand now why Monty and Thorin, they're so edgy, because, you know, that's how you spice up the analyst's life. You need something to...
No, because that's called burying teams, and we're not allowed to do that.
Which is why you happen to have a shovel on hand.
Yo, I'm fucking ready to bury some teams. I'm finally on a podcast. Get me the fuck in there. These guys are getting buried. I don't have a bucket, but I do have a spade, which means that you don't even need a bucket, actually. That's for building.
You're going to be digging up the graves for the teams to bury. So
I will say that I don't think Bergring was the best player in all of... I mean, he was like a very good player, but I don't think he was the best player of all of stage 1. But during the finals, he was like clearly the best player, and was... Yeah. He was kind of uncharacteristically like... I don't mean to say uncharacteristically good, but he was doing things that he doesn't normally do. Like, he was going on flanks with Widowmaker and killing both supports before New York even had a chance to like contest and stuff like that. Like, it just kept happening. So clearly was the best player in the finals.
Essentially, though, to go back to your original point, though, Josh, why did I predict them? Those were the two reasons. But other than that, I just had a gut feeling that that New York were just fucking it. There was a gut feeling on the desk at the time. And I was like, fuck it, London's going to take this. I can feel it in my bones. And every time I go with my fucking bones, they always point me in the right direction. So
you do have very good bones.
I got very good. I drink a lot of milk.
Pretty much the only thing he has.
Good bones, good strong calcium in these lanky limbs. But anyway, let's go. I mean, I think we can finish up on the finals there. It was a fucking amazing finals for stage 1. It was super entertaining.
I actually thought that either Houston or Boston, whoever won that game, would be able to make it through the finals. I'm really surprised, actually, that Houston weren't able to bring it to London in the same way as they did earlier on in the... Was it the same day, or was it the day before?
It was like 2 days before.
Yeah, something like that. But Houston just looked kind of unbeatable when they were playing their best, and I think they didn't play their best in the finals. I think they got fatigued.
Houston played 2 series in a row as well, right? Because they played versus Boston, and then...
Yeah.
No, there was a game in between. There was a Florida game in between, right?
Yes, Florida versus Philly.
Yeah. Because I was like, maybe they were tired and couldn't adapt to the new London, but I don't know if that's legit. Maybe they just...
I think it was definitely fatigue, though, because that team's just never played the tournament before. They've only played Overwatch League stuff. Like, the players have played tournaments before, but not the team itself.
I think one of the other things to note is that London also... like reverted back to their like full dive style against Houston when they were winning a lot more when they weren't playing like just straight up dive, like just weeks before, or like a week before maybe.
Yeah, I
thought both teams actually looked very different in both matches that they played.
I think Houston just failed on their attacks a lot of the time as well, where previously they were playing really well against the Junkrat, and then Prophet was just getting mad value out of his tires. Jake looked like he was slightly weaker in that series. I heard some who was it talking about this on was it on Oversight maybe? I can't remember. Someone talking about Cool Matt deliberately eating Junkrat mines so that people couldn't escape. When he's playing against opposing Junkrats. That's mental. That's some crazy shit.
It's actually something that like it's one of those things that people pick up on in scrims. So like actually I think a lot of people started doing it, but Cool Matt was like the first one that was consistently doing it and kind of taught everybody about it. But yeah, Junkrats couldn't escape from him.
That's the kind of thing as well. On the desk, you just never see that in the chaos of a fight. You just never you need the players to be able to tell you that.
I saw Jake reviewing
like 20 billion things.
Yeah, I saw Jake reviewing their game versus Boston, and Cool Matt, he ate Moira's orb on purpose. Yeah. Like, why would you ever defense matrix a Moira?
No, it's actually
no, that's sick. Because that's the only reason you pick up Moira is because of a high healing output from her orb. Like the fact that it can hit so many people. Shut the fuck up, Harsha. Who's the analyst here?
Yeah, true.
It's actually Harsha.
You get so much actual ult charge out of the damage orb, and you get a ton of healing out of the healing orb. So it's like actually a pretty high priority thing to eat for all divas.
Okay, let's move along. Stage 1's boring. It's the Mercy meta. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
All right,
we have like
talk about some players.
Wait, no. I just want to throw out like a big picture thing at the beginning. Out of all the metas, where does the Mercy meta rate? So like you had dive, you had like a bit of Sombra, you had triple tank, you had like the fucking shit.
So in terms of what? In terms of watchability, playability.
I don't
just
know.
a general
Sum it up.
rating.
It was better
Sum it up.
than the Bastion meta.
Low.
Yeah, we didn't have that for long though, did we?
No, we had it for a
Oh,
few
that was
days.
like 3
We were in
days.
Korea at the
Yeah.
time with Misfits, and we it was the time we were really bad, and then the Bastion meta come in, and we were just suddenly good after we were out of the tournament. Because all we did was just pocketed fix Bastion, but we were out of the tournament at that point, so it didn't matter. But that
I'm
was
lucky.
fun. Yeah.
Because I think I don't think it was that bad, and I certainly don't think it was that bad for like the amount of time, because there wasn't really that many tournaments. It was only really stage 1 Overwatch
On the
League
Mercy
where it's
meta?
played, right? Yeah.
Right.
What else was played on the Mercy meta?
No,
Only
not
stage 1.
much.
So if we had a totally different like tank meta, which normally would be horrific, but it's only for stage 2, I don't mind that either. Like I think it adds variation. I think there was a lot of depth actually to the Mercy meta as well, as much as people dislike it. Like the timing of resurrects and stuff adds a lot of complexity.
There's a lot of strategy.
Go on, Harsha.
Well, I actually agree with that, but I also think that it was a really dumb introductory meta for Overwatch League, where like it was actually like terrible to cast. It was terrible to watch in the sense that
it was confusing.
Yeah, it was confusing. Yeah, like I thought it was. I mean, I wouldn't mind having it for 5 weeks again, but I thought it was just a weird note to start out on for Overwatch League, especially when I thought Apex's season 4 meta was actually pretty good.
I thought Apex season 4 meta was excellent. I really enjoyed watching it, but I think if you'd started Overwatch League on that, instead of everyone complaining about Mercy and stuff, they would have just been complaining that every motherfucker in the world is playing Soldier 76 Tracer or Genji Tracer.
Yeah.
And it would look to a pleb to be exactly the same in terms of like everybody else apart from the Genji or the Soldier 76. So I think the diversity, the fact that you could play like 25 out of the 26 heroes, rest in peace Symmetra, and also the fact that it was it enabled stuff like Pines McCree and the Widowmaker stuff. I don't know. I think it was actually not that bad.
I mean, this meta coming up seems really good as well, so I don't want to.
It seems fairly similar to Apex Season 4's meta.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it. Show me the when the shit teams bring out quad tank because they can't play dive as well. Love that.
Yeah, that's classic.
Looking at you, Shanghai Dragons.
Whoa.
What else? What else we got? Yeah, I'm throwing shade out, mate. This is a podcast, motherfucker. I'm gonna be again. Pass me the shovel.
Yeah.
Pass me
Also,
the fucking shovel. And we fucking scooping up the dirt, burying these teams alive. They can't survive through the grapevine. We don't fucking stand for that shit.
No, we can't
Take the
bury
shovel
teams. They've told us we can't bury teams. So what you're going to do is you're going to dig up teams, and we're going to hype up San Francisco, Shanghai Dragons. That's what the shovel is for, actually.
Yes, the shovel. The shovel really. It's the zombification of these teams. We're going to drag out their corpses and animate them around like they're actually alive.
I sense a pattern in Johnny's disses.
What?
Yeah, it's people that are at the bottom of the fucking table.
If we're talking about metas, I actually hated the triple tank meta of Ana as the base of it. The Beyblade meta was ages ago. I can't remember that shit.
Yeah.
I just remember
that was actually fun for one reason. You gained ultimate charge faster, and so it was just
I fucking loved having the blizzard every fight.
That was so much. Because of Reinhardt, you have Earthshatter every fight, and so there's just big ultimates flying everywhere, big impact, a lot of action.
It's more fun for sure, but where there's no element of macro strategy in terms of like rotating ults and tracking it. Like I much prefer the current system that we have, where it's a bit slower.
Yeah, I'm not making it. Bring back ultimates every fight. Lose your soundberry every fight. Come on, mate.
But what about you then? What's your favorite meta then, Johnny?
Mine.
Yeah.
I really like this meta. I don't really think I have a big preference. Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, I did like the triple tank meta, but for different reasons. It's not like that was my favorite meta, but there are small things as like you need to hit the hook at the perfect timing. You need to time the Ana biotic grenade at the perfect moment. Like Sora shields, like it's very much in the details, but no one pays attention to the details unless you're playing the game itself. Like I remember, I hung out with Bishop when he was coaching Cloud9, and he was like explaining these Korean systems to me, and I was just like, "This is next level." They had a system where they counted like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in comms, and every number was associated with a crowd control ability. So it's like first you do the hook, then you do the biotic grenade, then you do the whatever next ability. And so they had like systems in place to make sure that at least one CC gained you an advantage within a fight. So I think that meta was really interesting when it came to playing it. But I mean, when you're just watching it, it's just, to quote Pocket, it's just bumper cars going at each other, and you don't really know what's making the difference.
Quick little side note: I actually fucking really rate Bishop as a person and as a coach, but Reddit seems to have a hard on against him. Like any problems in a team, it's all his fault. Where do you think this is deriving from?
Well, I mean, the objective measurement of a coach should probably be the success that they've had in a team. That's how most coaches are measured, because you can't get the inside knowledge of what they actually do with the team in most situations.
Right.
So if you take a couple of rosters and they don't perform, even though all the pieces look to be there, then people are going to think that it's on the coach or whatever. I mean, for better or worse, correctly or incorrectly. But he had 2 different Cloud9 rosters, I think, that massively underperformed compared to where people were thinking they were going to be. I don't think that really the pieces were there when you looked at the development of the other teams that they were playing alongside. I think they just got outpaced. But I think also that he was working with some difficult people at the time, probably, as well, in terms of the players.
Okay, so real talk. Looking at London Spitfire's roster, is there not an argument to be made that this squad should be the #1 team by far and consistently so?
I'd argue that.
Because right now they're super inconsistent. I mean, they drop maps to pretty much every team, and then you never know if you're gonna win or lose. But they have insane players on every position. Birdwing,
they are
Prophet, Gesture, but fucking Bedozen. Like, they have so many skilled players, and they can't solidify themselves as the #1 team.
Well,
so, are you gonna blame the coach?
I don't know. I mean, I think the weird thing when I'm looking at it is that the meta at the moment looks a little bit like Apex Season 4. I think that one crucial difference is that the D.Va is so different compared to Apex Season 4. The D.Va now has crazy amounts of damage outputs, like a fucking assassin with 1 billion HP, rather than having a really big defense matrix. And when they were playing around Wuhyal, they always had him protecting the backlines, and then Gesture and Prophet were like doing this counter dive shit that basically we see from Houston Outlaws. Yeah, like Houston Outlaws now play almost exactly that style, with Kumat probably getting more value than anybody else out of the D.Va in the backlines, just because he's better than most of the D.Vas. But I think I agree with you to some extent, and I'm a little bothered that we haven't just seen them try and go hard on the GC Busan core and see if they could get back to that level of dominance, because they were so fucking good, man.
So I agree, because I mean, I agree to an extent just because they were the most dominant team during that meta, but I've also I feel like it's silly mistakes coming out from some of the players on the GC Busan core, like Hagapun. I do have to say, I think like Bedozen was a significantly better support throughout all of Stage 1. Like, I understand that it's a different meta, but
here's my theory of why they used to play with Hagapun and they used to feed like a bot, is because their whole system was set up like, yeah, fucking divers, like go for Hagapun. And then Closer, fucking Hureg and Wuhyal would sit off on the side and just kill all the people that went and killed Hagapun. And then Gesture and Prophet would fuck up their backline in turn. And like you would win fights that way.
This was actually my like original thought when I was seeing, Hagapun dying first every time. But then when I watched their match against Seoul, I think it was on Numbani, I saw the strangest thing like I've ever seen. Basically, I think this is like actually worth pulling up for whoever's watching this, but you see like Hagapun standing on first point Numbani, like the high ground that on defense that Winston and Tracer normally take, and it's only him, and so you think maybe it's a bait, but then you see like 3 fights in a row he's standing there, gets killed first, and London wins a 5v6 without like. It's just a straight up 5v6. He had done nothing throughout the fight. So I feel
You think I'm giving him too much credit by describing Hagapun as bait? Maybe he's just a bad person.
I think he was just... it might be him. It might be like the coaching staff, or it might be just the strategy in general wasn't working or something like that. But I feel like he always just had strange positioning. Whereas Bedozen, actually, if you look at the way he plays, he has like set spots on every map where he's always like standing, and he's relatively like aggressive. He's doing like a lot of damage. As I think, was he second to Jonak?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe he was second to Jonak. So
the ratings of the Zens were like Jonak, then Bedozen, then Neko. Neko was really good.
Yeah.
The only reason Jonak was so high was because he was being damage boosted.
He was being damage boosted a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I've always just found Hagapun's playstyle strange. I thought that Bedozen was just a more consistent, like better support player.
All right, let's shit talk some teams. That's what I want to do. Let's start with the Dragons. What's going on? What's wrong with
Classic.
this? What's wrong with this team?
Are we really going to talk about every team like this?
No, we're going to talk about the shit ones. So, shit ones for stage 1, Johnny. So that includes Dragons, Mayhem, Fuel, and Shock.
I don't
So we
even
might
really
do
want
it
to talk about Dragons because we know they have additions coming in, and it's a completely different
Okay,
team.
let's talk about what they
All
can
right, wait
improve
there,
upon.
wait there though. Then, who the hell? Do you think any of the players are actually fighting for their spots? Like the guys that are going to replace them, right? They've got Giguri, who would be coming into the off tank, Fearless, that would be coming into the main tank, Sky, who's a flex support, and Ado, who's like a flex DPS but could also play Tracer for them. So, do you think that Roshan, MG, Shushu, and like
Either
Altering
together.
are actually playing for their spots, or are they just going to straight replace them?
They're just going to be replaced, man. It's
Yeah, I
I
don't.
feel
Do you think there's any
they're
argument?
fucking. They're dead, man. It's over. I'm sorry, man. It's just how it is. Maybe
there
Roshan
any
can be like
argument?
very niche, very super aggressive Winston.
Very niche playstyle of feeding the masses. Come on, Johnny.
Make space for Otto's Genji.
The
Go on.
weird thing about Roshan is he's got massively high defs, but the rest of his stats are actually on par with average Winstons. That's
Yeah.
what's strange about Roshan is you look at his defs are the highest in the league by a long shot, but the rest of his stats he's like putting out average numbers. So like this guy, I mean, you know, maybe if he just focuses, maybe that's why his stats are so high is because he's putting out balls tons of damages when he's actually alive. But
Shanghai also had, I feel like, a fairly weird playstyle where instead of like the Winston and Tracer playing together, at least some of the time, it felt like it was just the two tanks playing together, whereas like Undead and Dia were both kind of doing their own thing.
right.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle to get value out of Undead if they can't play him on the McCree or on Widowmaker or something. And I think that forced Dia to play the Tracer,
yeah.
stuff like that, where he would normally be like the guy that you would play in the like McCree Soldier 76 role, Widowmaker, stuff like that. Like he was probably the better of the two. But I think Dia was a bit more flexible, so they put him over there. For me, like they've done some weird stuff with their roster recently, and they were running like 3 tanks, right, when they came into it, and just solo support and stuff like that. If they have niche strategies like that, I mean, maybe the Chinese players end up working better for them recently. Like, do you think that they're actually the worst team in the league right now?
They've improved. Who's worse than them right
It's
now?
them
Because
or
every
San
team that's
Francisco.
bad has improved.
Apart from the Shock.
Apart from the
No.
Shock, yes.
I would say they're the worst.
No, actually, Shock had a good first map against Seoul, but went down.
I think the first 2 maps were good. I think the last 2 were questionable.
Because at the end of stage 1, we were discussing this behind the scenes. Like, I'm not even sure whether Shanghai Dragons were the worst team at the end of it, because Mayhem were looking really awful towards the end of stage 1. And Shock had some really bad performances. So
Yeah, in
I don't
Mercy
know.
meta, I would think they could have beat Florida Mayhem towards like the last week. But in this meta, I think Florida Mayhem naturally just gets better. And
Yes,
Shanghai
they
Dragons
should.
won't
Yes.
be able to play around them.
But I still think there's like something to be said for the way that Shanghai Dragons were playing against Dallas in the second half of their game. Like they actually went toe to toe with them, and they were playing like it wasn't like Dallas were playing awfully like in a lot of the other close series with Shanghai Dragons. Shanghai Dragons actually looked like they were pretty solid on that tank composition.
Yeah.
And the match favorite more.
Yeah.
There's
I was
going to be
gonna
no
say,
argument against you, Josh.
I'm just saying, like, are they gonna straight go Norton fucking 20 before
I think
players get in?
I think that would honestly. I mean, it's not something you see very often in like most sports or even most esports where
It's
a team
so
just-
unlikely.
Yeah, but it does seem like it's very hard for them to. I mean, it does have to be said that they had a very close series against Philly last stage where they almost won. It was 99-99 on the last. I believe it was 99-99 on the last control point.
Because they haven't even looked that bad against the latter match of Dallas Fuel, and then LA Valiant looked like they were all over the place, and Shanghai Dragons kind of nearly snuck a map or two.
Yeah.
I think it ended 0-3 in the end. They had to draw on Hanamura or something, right?
Yeah.
So, and next week they're playing LA Gladiators and San Francisco Shock. So I feel like if there's ever a time for them to snag some wins, it's got to be next week. Like they got to play some mad tank stuff, and they got to just slam LA Gladiators while they are still trying to integrate Fisher, or just.
But you're never gonna predict them unless you're super edgy. Like you're just gonna be like, I'm gonna predict Shanghai Dragons for the Lulz, you know.
There's an argument to be made against some of the teams they are playing against.
No, San Francisco looked better versus Seoul Dynasty. I mean, Dante popped off.
Yeah, but it's all about their players popping off, I feel. And like, if their players don't pop off, and Shanghai is still playing pretty coordinated tanks, I don't know.
So there's not a case to be made that San Francisco is looking better in a merciless meta as well. And that Fisher or with Gladiators is looking good as well.
I would say, for the record,
all teams are improving.
I also think that getting wrecked by Gladiators, but mostly Fisher, gave us a lot of stuff, like insight into how the meta should have been played.
What insight can you share with us? Oh, why share?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to ask you what insight you got if you just can't share it, am I? I have to ask you what you can share.
I would say certain, like put it this way, certain heroes should be playing together rather than you had pairings. I would say during stage 1 where it was like pretty much always going to be like Diva peeling, Winston, Tracer going aggro, stuff like that. That tended to be the most successful in terms of at least dive. I'm not talking about like Junkrat styles. I think that the new meta throws some of that out of the window and keeps some of it. So like I think that we had some of the wrong priorities, I would say.
And beyond that, PR nonsense.
Can I ask? I want to ask Harsha a question before we move on here.
Sure.
So this is more for the big picture, more general, before we dive into the other teams. So right now, a lot of people are saying that the Overwatch League teams are really closely matched, and it's mostly an information game. So
I don't agree with the information game part. I do think that the gap is not as
the gap
high.
Is closing.
No. I'm not gonna say fucking like the West is gonna win Overwatch League or whatever. But I'll say that I think that I think that Western teams can take matches off of Korean teams for sure, and we've seen it happen. Like I think that could happen, and then I think that right now the Western teams that look best currently in this meta, it looks like Philly and Houston, right? I think that they could legitimately be or outplace Korean teams in this meta. So like I think that it does have to be said that Western teams or like that all the teams are getting closer and closer, but I wouldn't say that the difference is information.
Okay, so to my actual question.
Oh, go ahead.
What have you done?
What do you think is the most
no.
important? Oh, what have you done?
No, he's good. He's good.
Oh, he's good.
What is the most important? What?
I'm back.
How do you weigh like tactics and fundamentals against individual skill? Do you think one of them is more important than the other? Because I look at Houston Outlaws, and sure, they have Linkser, but they're a team with great fundamentals. And then you have Philadelphia Fusion, who is a team with insane individual skill.
Yeah.
And so how those two attributes, I guess,
I think that you really saw it play out last meta, where I feel like it was more about tactics, especially when you have like things like I think Rez was one of the biggest reasons it was like that.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can play more of like a 4-man dive style or 5-man dive style, even bringing in the Lucio, and it works just as well in this metagame. Like, so I think that's why Philly looks really, really strong. They have really aggressively minded players, especially when they're playing with Echo instead of Shadowburn. Yeah. So I think right now it's emphasizing individual skill, but I think you need like a baseline, and then you have to add tactics on top of that.
You made the argument there, Johnny, that the reason Philly were performing was because they've got super strong individual skill, which is true. But would you not agree that they have incredible cohesion as well? Because when I was watching the Philly matches, I was only watching the map view pretty much the entire time, just to see how they moved around the map. And fuck me sideways, they were just dumb. Like it was like a hive mind. This shit, Philly in my mind, like this is why like fucking. I don't know if it's public yet about your shit, but like we're both in agreement that Philly are probably one of the best teams right now if they keep up what their current game. Like in a straight up match now between Houston and Philly, I'd argue Philly would dismantle them. To be honest,
I put Philly as my #1 team in my power rankings.
Yeah,
I think they're the team to beat. I think they're insane.
Are you only talking stage 2, or were you including stage 1?
No, just stage 2
Oh,
power
then,
rankings
I
this meta.
Just this week.
Yeah, I actually agree then. But
Yeah,
I thought that
because
stage
Houston
1.
and Philadelphia are playing on Thursday.
Ah, okay.
That is going to be insane.
That's gonna be
that is going
fire.
to be
oh my
the
god.
best game of the stage, in my opinion.
So here's what I, because everybody was talking about the Mercy meta and the changes going into this one as if it was to do with the res, but I actually think it was to do with the sustain.
Yes,
I actually
it
think
was.
when Philadelphia and teams like this were trying to dive in, they couldn't get the picks fast enough to avoid being punished for it, right? To avoid the
you couldn't kill a soldier through double pocket, especially if they're Valking.
Yeah, and it was so difficult to kill a Zen through like being pocketed. Anyway, so I think it's less to do with like the fact that you could have an aggressive tracer, and even if you traded, they would be rezzed up. It was that the tracer literally couldn't get the pick against the backline because they had too much sustain. It was like a sustain meta. And so I think all of the teams that have crazy individual players now in this meta are going to find it so much easier, especially if they're aggressive individually skilled players, because they can get picks faster and be able to reset, and there's not the time frame for the enemy team to be able to punish them.
And so, Josh, why does Florida Mayhem suck ass?
That's the question for the ages, isn't it? That is the question for the ages. I think it's actually because and I know that we were talking to Tvick when he was trying to drink his woes away recently. And we were
saying, confidential information.
I'm not going to give away anything he was saying. I'm just saying that my criticism of them has always been that Tvick was playing too passively, and who knows whether that was Tvick's idea himself or whether that's the team telling him to. But I think the teams with aggressive Genjis and aggressive tracers are playing so well right now, whereas Tvick's been playing like passive for so long. Just like,
I mean, if Tvick wants to play aggressive, then he cannot play aggressive. Like what always happened in Rogue was that Tvick would die first because he overextended, and people will be like, "Why are you overextending?" A lot of nonsense. And I think looking at the Florida Mayhem squad, he might be more passive, similar to Shadowburn, because he's not sure about his team backing him up and creating space for him.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't argue that Swoosh is the most aggressive Winston in the league.
Yeah.
And so maybe Tvick feels he needs to be passive because he can't trust his teammates.
Manhattan
I know that
Manhattan
was never aggressive either. So maybe Tvick
passive.
just plays passive on Genji because he feels like he doesn't have the space he needs.
Yes, and so the idea is that the whole of their tank line plus Tvick, I dislike the fact that they turned themselves into a defensive team with like Logic's playing the Soldier 76.
Where they were so good at the aggression, right?
Yeah, because that's how they built their team. They built it essentially for this meta. For Logic's just to go and fuck up people's mothers in the back line, and the rest of their team to kind of follow up on the dive as he shepherded them in. I think this team should be really good. I think, again, like the big difference between this meta and the Apex Season 4 meta, which was also the one where Misfits were really good, is the D.Va again.
Yeah.
It's like how you play the D.Va.
Yep.
I would add that one thing, like when Misfits was their most successful, Logix was literally having, like, his stats were only comparable to Effects, basically. He was actually having ridiculous carry performances, whereas even at his best, he hasn't been really doing that so far in Overwatch.
Yeah, but I think that's because we've been in the Mercy meta as well. We saw a downtick from guys like Prophet. We saw a downtick from guys like Effect as well, because the more solo kind of individual pick-oriented tracers were just nerfed by the fact there's so much sustain on the enemy team. So you saw like Effect just running around the fight, like shooting tanks the whole time, like, what the fuck is going on? Please kill Cool Matt, please! So I think for stage 2, these kind of traces are going to get much better, and guys like Sabiolbi, who were so good at just like wrecking the traces when they came for the 1v1s, are perhaps going to have a downtick because they don't have that stable team to go around them. Is that all right, Connie? I know I've touched on your precious child, Sabiolbi. Is that kind of blasphemy allowed?
Sure. Go ahead.
I mean, maybe New York will be able to create their own style of this meta, because I don't think they're going to be wanting to like switch up to whatever was played in Apex Season 4 or whatever is played currently, right? I feel like their style was so suited for the last metagame that it just kind of feels like they're going to try and force that or make something else.
So we've kind of moved on to the meta game, I guess, of stage 2 pretty organically, I'd say, without being pushed into that direction. So, I mean, we can skip by shitting on Fuel and Shock, to be honest, because, I mean, unless you lot have particularly strong feelings on these teams.
I'd just like to lay a small little poop on the shock, if you may.
You may. I'll give you permission.
Because I want to know what Harsha thinks are their biggest issues right now. Again, don't have to give anything too much away, and by all means, the other three of us will fill in for any negatives that you leave out.
I mean, I think that most people tend to like agree or come to an agreement with what the biggest problems were. I don't think that we were like suited for playing Mercy at all, and I thought that in general, this is like kind of, it's like a kind of strange point to make, but like I don't think pocketing Baby Bay only like is something that worked, even though it was like a very heal centric meta, like a very like heal the backline centric meta. And I thought that one of the things that also happened was I think that we had to divert a lot of resources to keeping our tank line alive, and that ended up actually hurting the backline. So those would be my biggest points.
Would you make an argument that you don't have a strong Genji player? Is that part of the reason as well?
I think Dante's quite a good Genji, and I think Baby Bay will probably step off of some of the Genji duties and focus on what he's best at.
But then if you have Dante on Genji,
then
Baby Bay on Tracer, right?
Likely, yeah, most likely.
So then,
I mean, honestly,
she's there.
Not giving away comps or anything.
Of course.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Your team is almost
famous...
impenetrable. Who knows what comps they could be running?
what possible composition could you be running?
Well, we've seen Widow Genji as a standard on Gibraltar. So I mean,
you could just bring back Erikiri, right?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Where's the shovel? Where's the shovel? Get the shovel!
Get the shovel out! All right, let's move on quickly before we start saying something. Stage 2 meta game. Let's go into detail with this shit.
I want to ask whether we think the meta is actually going to stay like this, because
that was what I was going to say, but then you just fucking dived straight in. I was like, let's talk about the stage 2 meta game. I was going to set up my point. Just fucking drink your drink, you cunt. Fuck off. Listen, get out of my sight. Do we think the meta is going to stay with the dive meta? It was what I was going to say, and Josh was going to jump in. Trying to fucking steal my job. God.
I think it'll develop in a similar way with Apex Season 4, where the strongest team was actually the one that was playing counter dive. But I mean, it's hard to say, especially because like Stage 1, the meta didn't start out the way it ended, right? Like the meta's always going to evolve. So
yes,
I mean, I think it's clearly going to change. I don't know how it'll change, but I feel like Soldier Tracer will end up actually being a stronger comp in a lot of scenarios. One of the things that you like have to always keep in like the back of your mind though is that the maps are also very I guess they change a lot about how the game should be played. Whereas if you didn't have like Gibraltar, you'd be probably seeing way less Widow. If you didn't have King's Row, way less tanks. So I think that's also part of the reason.
I found it pretty interesting that we started out the whole stage with LA Valiant against Salt, and both teams were just playing dive, and not a single tank was to be seen. Because when we looked at, I mean, Korea to a lesser extent, I dropped into, I got to be honest, I don't watch much Overwatch outside of the Overwatch League anymore, whereas I used to watch everything. But the Korean contenders games that I caught, they were like running a lot of dive, but some triple tank. And Europe in particular were just running basically either quad or majority triple tank with a Junkrat. And there's a team called Those Guys who are, I think, now the academy team for
London?
Spitfire.
Yeah.
What are they called? Hurricane.
Hurricane, yeah.
They were just dumpstering everybody running this style. And so it seems to me a little strange that people haven't tried that. Is this something that's like the scrim meta that we'll never see ever because people figured it out before we even saw the first match? No, the triple tank with the Junkrat is what they've mostly been running.
I don't know. I personally have always just kind of thought that more mobile styles will end up winning out, just because like historically that's always what's happened. Like in the West we've seen a bunch of tank metas. We saw like NIP doing it. We saw NA doing pretty much only that for months. And then in Korea they were always just running dive instead, and it was except for like Apex Season 1, I guess that's the one exception.
This is why I came out with that stupid comment saying the team that doesn't run Rhine comps will win Kings Row. And Houston were playing what team were they playing? Help me.
They were playing Boston, I think. No, not Boston.
Could have been Boston.
The team before that.
Let's have a look at the schedule. They were playing Boston.
Was it a Korean
Oh, it was
team?
London. It was London.
Yeah.
London, right?
Yes, it was London.
I was like, in my mind, because I follow the same thought process as you. Like, you look at the metas developing. Like, mobility is always, if you can play the perfect dive, it's going to be dismantling these comps every day of the week.
See,
but
I agree, but I think that London is like a very, I mean, not London. I said London
Houston?
because it's Kings Row. Kings Row is like a very special case in the sense that it's pretty much one long corridor. Like the shield.
yes,
and,
so it's a lot better for Ryan comps.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I still assumed, because even when it was played in Apex or whatever, dive was still ran pretty much all the time almost. So
well, when the Apex Season 1 finals happened, or when the playoffs happened, there was a meta switch right beforehand, right? So all the teams just scrambled to find the thing that works, and I think they set that meta in stone for a little while. Envious carried on with it when they went into MLG Vegas, but there was a tournament, IEM Kyangi was happening at the same time as MLG Vegas. And that was, it was a mixture actually, but a lot of the best teams were the best dive teams. They would play a bit of triple tank like there was at Apex Season 1 finals, but a lot of dive.
Johnny remembers.
Yeah, it was right after the roster swap, and we had Misfits playing triple tank and Rogue playing triple DPS before any of those comps were legit.
And Soon was
playing both of us just...
So. You were straight out of there.
It turns out Rogue needed a 6th French player.
Oh yeah, they had Skipjack. that was yeah.
Yeah, they had Skipjack, who was like classically a passive tank player, and he was now playing Winston in a triple DPS composition with 5 French.
And the best part is that he was learning French at the same time.
Fantastic, wasn't it? But yeah, I think even at that point, if you play some variation of dive, like my personal theory is that dive is just a fundamental concept of the game. Unless they massively nerf Winston or something, or Tracer or Genji, it's always going to be best because it allows you to get the first pick in the fight, and that just makes so much difference.
Or they'll just literally make a flat map.
Speaking of...
like Junkertown.
First point,
yeah, I guess so. Speaking of Frenchmen, let's talk about AKM and Rascal. Rascal's not French, but let's talk about their movement over to Dallas Fuel. Adds a lot of unique possibilities. I'd like to brush through these quickly, so I'm going to go around in a circle. Each one, give me your thoughts on this. Sideshow, we'll start with you.
I think AKM's a fucking super sick player. I think Dallas improved a lot with adding AKM in there. But I'm always worried, like, when AKM's on a team. This is why I didn't bring him up too much when everyone was like, he's the absolute best DPS player in the world, and he's not in Overwatch League. The problem with AKM is that you seem to have to build your entire compositions around him, because he plays the McCree, he plays the Soldier 76, he plays the Reaper, but that's kind of a bit like Taimu, except better. But he can't play the Tracer that well. That he was actually playing Tracer at IEM Kyangi. And he doesn't play Genji. And I know that he said he's going to play Genji, but mate, anyone can tweet, I'm going to play Genji. Like, they've now got Rascal on the team. I don't really see AKM being a top tier Genji. It would take a lot of work, I think. So they've now got themselves in a weird position where they can play everything, but they are missing, like, they have to, they could just play like AKM and Rascal and not play Tracer, which we saw a couple of times.
They did on Gibraltar, I believe.
Yeah. So they've got a weird team setup still, but it's definitely an improvement. And I think XQC was fucking dominating as well. That guy's going to add so much to the team because he's like an actually aggressive player that Effect can sync up with.
I thought Coco overall didn't play very well during stage 1. I think XQC played really fucking good during the one match he was here. Like, I think that AKM's actually... I didn't like the pickup at first, but I think it actually works out fine because you can just do you can make AKM and Rascal focus on their specialized heroes. Rascal, to be fair, plays kind of everything, but you can make him focus on the projectile. AKM just focuses on the hit scan, and you're always gonna want to run a Tracer unless you're just running a certain strategy. So Effect can play most of the time, 75% of the time. 3 out of the 4 maps, you know. So I think that
pretty crazy that anyone would not have Effect in our main lineup as well, isn't it?
For sure.
Guys just been so good, like all throughout the last few months.
I think overall it ends up working out. If they run this 7-man lineup or 8-man, bringing in Taimu somehow. I actually thought that it was weird that Taimu didn't move to flex tank instead.
Yeah.
Played Roadhog and then learned D.Va.
Yeah. Johnny.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Any additions?
Yes, I think a lot of people looked at the AKM transfer and they thought it was a bad move simply because they had Taimu on the team.
Yeah.
But if you remove Taimu from the mix, then it all makes a lot more sense. So
you think the Taimu's just out of there, not just moving the main tank? He's like off elsewhere.
no, I mean he could play the main tank, but as it stands, his individual form, I guess, isn't even close to AKM's consistency.
AKM
So
actually, he's like fantastically because he
Yeah.
hits the same kind of highs as Taimu, on even like on McCree and stuff like that. But the boy just always puts that out.
yeah, and so I got the question from a Team Envious member. I was like, what do you think? What do you think about the AKM pickup? And I was like, it doesn't make any sense if you're gonna have Taimu on the roster because they fill the same niche. But if they really wanted a soldier and a McCree and potentially a Widowmaker if he gets it up to par, then I think it makes a lot more sense, and I think it's a pretty solid pickup. I think that Rascal is a bit overhyped. I think he's a jack of all trades, pretty good player. But
Master of
Kongdu
May.
was most notorious when he played Sombra,
Yeah.
and not when he played like the big impact heroes like Genji and Soldier. And so I think he fills a niche, and there's a reason why he was on the bench on London. And I think with Rascal and Effect, I don't think that Dallas Fuel will be a top team. I think there will be a really good team. I think they have more potential with AKM and then putting in Rascal in like 1 or 2 maps.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question for that though, because I think that a lot of the time when we've seen teams try and run 2 big superstar players, it kind of fails.
Yeah.
So for me, running Effect and Rascal I think theoretically that can work pretty well, because if you run, say you're running just like the dive compositions and you've got XQC back in there, so there's no real issues with the team played too passively or whatever. And then Effect is kind of like Birdring. He's going to go in and fuck people up, and Rascal has space to do his own thing. He doesn't really have to be the carry player, I think, if he's playing alongside AKM or Effect.
I think we're past that though. I think a lot of the teams before Overwatch League were stuck with only one superstar player. But now we're in a situation where pretty much all the top teams have incredible DPS players on every slot. And so if you want to compete with the best, you need 2 superstars in order to match them. You need to compete with Carpe and EQ or Shadowburn at the same time. You need to compete with Birdring and Prophet at the same time.
But Birdring and Prophet have not both popped off at the same time, apart from when Prophet was playing stuff like the Junkrat for me. Like Birdring and Prophet have got massive name value, but I don't think I've seen like superstar level performances from them both in terms of a match. I can't think of a game where they just straight carried, because they should be able to straight carry. They used to straight carry when they were the superstars.
Well, also
I agree with from Eco and
I think
Carpet.
that. Well, I think that whenever each player is playing at their best, the team has to play around a certain style. So, like when Prophet is playing his best, I think that the team is playing very like heavily dive centric, where him and Gesture are just picking apart whoever they want to on the back line. Whereas when they're playing around Birdring, they need to be like pocketing him, and because he's classically playing in the old meta at least, like Widow or Tracer. So he could either function on his own on the Tracer and do whatever, but then Prophet's gonna have probably the focus, whereas if he's playing the Widow, they're going to be playing around him, giving him all the heals and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so that was reason for inconsistency, in my opinion. But I think we will see a lot more consistency from London now, because Birdring seems to be on the flex DPS role permanently now, and Prophet is stuck on the Tracer. So I think we'll see, Prophet is an insane Tracer. So why would you not just have Prophet always being the Tracer and then Birdring swap between all the other heroes as need be? So I think that this duo specifically will be a lot stronger in stage 2 compared to stage 1.
I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, I also think that's the reason why New York will start to fall a bit, because Libero isn't as much of a superstar.
His Genji was actually really underwhelming towards the end of stage 1. Like I've always been like a big fan of how of him as a player, but I thought that in the finals it was like particularly disappointing.
Do you think that's going to be one of the main weaknesses then of New York, is the fact that they don't really have a secondary projectile player that can pop off?
Well, Pine can play projectile. I don't know if they'll.
But can he pop off? He's been playing a bit more Genji recently.
Yeah,
I think he can pop off, but it's a liability.
It was terrible.
What was terrible?
Pine's
Genji. I'll agree with that.
When did they play it?
Oh, versus Houston, was it?
I can't remember.
No, he pulled it out on Ilios, I think.
Okay.
Maybe it was versus Houston, or I don't know. Yeah, it didn't look good.
All right. Well, we went off track a little bit from.
I just want to say as well.
Yeah.
Before we move on from Dallas Fuel, I also think XQC looked fucking amazing. Looked like a top 3 tank in my opinion. I just want to see some consistency now because I can see XQC being a really inconsistent tank. Because he's so decisive. But we'll have to see moving forward.
Before this is clipped and you get death threats from XQC fans on Twitter, why do you
That's happened already.
Yeah,
So
why do you think this?
No, because he's just a very okay, what's the word for it? This is decisive. You know, he's very instinctive, straightforward player. And so there's a lot of potential with those kind of players. I was one of them. There's a lot of potential to just counter.
Yeah, take advantage of
it. You were consistent though. You were consistently feeding.
I knew that was coming. Look, it was a strat. It was a strat. Make space.
He's making space. Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
I love it. That's why I use
so force.
Honestly, I think people underrate me, and it all comes down to observing. So
okay, all right. Here's a question, Johnny. If you were gonna sign to any team right now, A, who would you want to sign with? Who do you actually think you'd get game time? Who do you think you'd improve? And B, who the fuck do you think would sign you?
His friend who definitely didn't cut him on Misfits or Mayhem, rather.
No, but it wouldn't. I think in stage 1 the obvious pick was Florida Mayhem because then I probably would have competed with Switch for game time, but now they have awesome guys, so I'm like, I don't want to join Florida Mayhem. They have awesome guy. Why would I compete with that guy? So, and then it was like, maybe I could compete with Coco, and now like XQC looks really solid.
And Taimu.
Like, yeah, so I'm like, nah, I'll just be an analyst, mate.
Okay.
It makes a good Skrilla.
The mid-season signings just ruined Johnny's career.
Yeah.
Well, we will leave Johnny to rest of his decisions
and you guys
stop pressuring him. What do you mean? You're considering that? I mean, I could have joined.
Living in this house is essentially being a team manager. So
does nobody want a fucking main Hanzo? I'm out here.
You don't manage us that much. You do some good shit. I'm not gonna lie.
We were gonna buy a couch, and it was a really good deal for like $220. And I was like, okay, if you guys want this couch, you just have to sort out the delivery and get it over here. I spent 2 days. It's
That's
probably
like the main issue in general. That's like the biggest.
You're just like, no, we're just gonna spend 8 hours on buying grapes and dressing up. And I'm like, mate, there's a couch. There's a couch available. Buy it.
We spent as more money on that video than the couch.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Yeah, and we also spent more money on that video than we've ever made through the Grapevine.
Financially, fiscally responsible.
You can't buy happiness, can you?
That's true. No, actually, you can buy happiness. You can.
You can also buy Twitter followers.
That's true. Buy the San Francisco Shock.
Yo! Fuck! Fucking fire!
I've clearly opened Pandora's box.
Oh boy.
I don't know where this come from.
Talk about Fisher on LA Gladiators. I mean, there's not much to say here. Straight upgrade. I can't really see.
He played fucking unreal against us.
He did.
Who did? Oh, they played Fuel. Yeah, he didn't play as well against Fuel, I would say. But
when that team gets good, when that team meshes well with Fisher, they're going to be a top team for sure, at least in the Western bracket.
I think when Fisher learns English as well, I think they'll improve quite a bit because I think Fisher's probably just like a fucking gold mine of info that could help that team. But at the moment, he can't get it through the filter of being able to translate that into English. Like even through a translator or something, the concepts probably wouldn't come through. But if he can actually call for the team and like be a leading presence, I can definitely see LA Gladiators getting better because they were a team when I saw them form, I was like, this team's gonna blow. Like they had a decent tank line and a good support line, but if you just, it's not plug and play. Like the team style was all over the place.
I don't think the tank
and then when they started
also
stage 1, it was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong, no, and then they just fucking nosedived for the rest of the season. So I just had a little glow in my heart, like I actually did know.
I also don't think the tank line, like I thought they were very good players during the old meta, but I don't think they played the meta correctly. They I thought that they tried to do what classically Shanghai did, where they were always playing the two tanks together. They weren't working with the Tracer, rather. And the backline, I guess, for D.Va.
Bren's slapping his noodle.
Some of my noodle, Johnny.
It out.
Yeah.
I think
they need a new DPS player. I think that while they have really good or not really good. Let's just say good DPS players in like Surefour and Hydration and Asher. I think they need a new superstar DPS player. This is Bren's Noodle. Why did you leave me with this? Okay.
Do you not want
so I'm just like, yo, LA Gladiators. Why don't you just pick up Craggy? He's amazing.
You love that man.
Yeah, no, but he's the obvious. I think he's the next obvious
is Craggy
DPS
the
pickup
obvious
in the
choice?
hit scan position.
Listen, Johnny, you bigged up Craggy to me when we were in Contenders and his team bombed.
That was for internal reasons, however.
Okay.
And also,
how do you know internal reasons won't happen again?
Because this is the Overwatch
Foreign
League and
Craggy,
not an all Danish lineup full
Trying to
of
get
like,
time
dude,
this Tracer.
mate, the players in Singularity were like 17 and 16. Like, well, they have their off-tank player was like 16 years old or something. Like, they don't know how to handle a team. It's like
I believe in
kindergarten
the
all over
calming
again.
influence of Big Goose. I think that guy can settle them down.
No, but actually, like the coaching staff of LA Gladiators seem really.
Shaz also.
Harsh.
All right,
Shaz
let's
seems
move
quite
these.
zen.
Let's bust these out quick, okay?
Yeah.
You fucks. You've
Yeah,
taken too long of my time. Too much. Too long. I've waited.
Hey, you're learning stuff.
This-
You can repeat this on the desk later.
Johnny's just
Brutal
savage
today.
tonight. Jesus Christ. He's had enough. He's had enough.
I'm gonna
Really?
fucking go smash you with your noodle.
I mean, you're smashing too much in that room already, Johnny. We can't be having you smashing me as well.
And the fire is returned.
Alright, fuck it. Let's see. He's gone off the screen. Let's talk about Florida. Let's talk about Florida. Florida, let's smash these out. I want to go around in circles. I don't want people sharing their opinions. This is not the podcast for that. If you want that shit, go to Oversight, motherfucker. We're in through the grapevine. Awesome guys, Sire player, Zappis, the Florida Mayhem, improvements across the board. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreement.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you
I
think
mean, I don't
Awesome
know.
Guy's not played on a good team in ages, has he? What was the last good team that Awesome Guy played on? That's such a that to me is a bit of a risk. Like they must have tried him out, but who knows? Main tank's
He's
a
awesome,
fucking
right?
important position.
I feel like he's
Awesome enough to get cut from Luxury Watch.
Well-
Wait, which team was it?
It was
Yeah,
Red.
Luxury Watch
It was
Red.
Yeah. I think that he's been a player that's kind of
The
been,
B team.
well. I think it
Used
has
to
to
be
be
the
said that
A team.
nobody really knows what he's doing, like in terms of tryouts and all. But I think he's always been a player that's kind of rode on his reputation from like Gosu Gamers Weekly 16 or whatever it was.
18,
18.
actually.
Was it? It was actually 18.
It genuinely was. It was
Okay.
actually 18. Esports is story.
I mean, it all makes sense. If you look at it, they picked up Sire player from Meta Athena, Coach Ryder from Meta Athena, and Awesome Guy from Meta Athena. So
right.
maybe they just have a hard-on for Meta Athena.
Maybe it was a package
Possibly.
deal of some sort.
Yeah.
What the hell is Zappis going to play? That's the question mark for me. Like, apparently the guy was trialing as a support player in Europe before he came to the Overwatch League. Like, does he play support?
I
For
believe
some
he's going
reason,
to
does he
play.
play off tank
Yeah.
over Manitin, who was actually looking decent on stuff that wasn't Diva? Although I think he was way too passive on Diva.
I think
But,
he will be
DPS again?
playing flex tank, but he also
That's
did
a
say
controversial statement.
well,
That was on Flex Tank.
he
Fucking
also
hell.
did say he was signing as a substitute, so it might just literally be a
okay.
leadership thing, or
Just a
bench,
bench
whoever's playing poorly, and then we'll fill in the
I
rest.
do
You
hate
will,
that Zappis
yeah,
is
but you
very
will never
close to
bring
that.
in a sub to establish a new like dominance hierarchy within the team. So
Unless the
he's just
sub is
there.
literally
He's
a
just
Viking.
there to feed someone's ego, you know, and be like, "Oh yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff." You know, can I be in the starting lineup anytime soon? Is that all he's going to do? I think he
Is
should
this actually going
specialize.
to work? That's the question, though. Is this actually going to make Florida Mayhem good? And I look at this and I'm like, I've got no idea. Like, this is so weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're adding in 2 Korean players to a roster that's never integrated it and has no coaching staff really to integrate it, except the guy that they've just brought on. Do guys like Zebasai and Tvik and these kind of people, like, are they going to bow to the authority of Ryder, even though he's got a gnarly beard? I don't know. This is such a gamble.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
is why you drew your beard on, isn't it?
Yes, I think I look much more authoritative with drawn on.
You look like,
goatee, so I
you
will
know,
continue with this on the
people
desk.
having like an alternative universe evil Josh. You know what I mean?
I hope people
What
see
the
the worm that's
Yeah.
been
Oh yeah,
drawn.
this is Harsha's dick worm that he drew on me. He started out and nearly drew a penis, and then was like, "No, that's definitely a worm. Trust me, it's a worm."
Lovely tats.
To be fair, it
We
was
got from,
genuinely a worm. I just mistakenly drew the wrong
Yours
portion.
is genuinely a worm, so I don't know what's going on. You know? I don't know whether you can tell the difference.
We went from Florida Mayhem to worms.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go to Shanghai Dragons.
We've been there. What?
A team that
Have
we've
we?
spoken
We
about.
touched on them a little bit.
No, we actually have. No, we talked about Shanghai Dragons. Fuck them. Fuck them. Let's talk about Houston instead then. Fact Fiction recently got signed,
I don't.
supposedly.
To be fair, I thought Mumo was one of the better players for.
I think he's the best tank at the moment.
I would agree with that statement as
I
well.
did power ranking of tanks. I think he would be number 1 for me right now.
Disagreement reinforces faces.
No,
Scrunched
I
up.
don't-
I would say
I
gesture.
don't-
I would say gesture 100%.
I would say you
it's
fucking
very hard
bopped
to
on
say.
gesture in the game last week.
Yeah, but I thought all of
Johnny, I want to hear your
Whoa,
point.
whoa, whoa.
Listen,
I-
Harsha,
no, no,
Sideshow,
no,
shut
no,
the
no.
fuck.
I need to make a point.
Whoa,
I need to make
okay,
a
point.
yo, all right.
All right.
Harsha.
I don't have a
Spoiler.
point. Let Harsha.
My point is that London literally played Kings Row and didn't take a single fight on that map. They let Houston push it in what, like 4 minutes? I didn't see a single fight. They backed out every time they got picked, and then gave up the entire map. That was some of the
Which
worst.
player is supposed to engage? Like, which classically, if you like, would talk about the supports,
They
or
don't have to
DPS or
engage.
the
They can at
tanks.
least stall the cart. They
But
can,
who stalls the cart? Like, who takes the fights?
if they're gonna get picked,
That's
they're-
like gesture, right? That's weird that he would be like underperforming in that game.
I don't think it's necessarily gesture. They also didn't. Did they play dive? Regardless.
Yeah, I think they played dive throughout because I was like, they're playing Kings Row, they're playing Genji, Tracer, Winston
Yeah,
into
you're right.
Reinhardt
And
and
then-
Zarya, and I'm
And I
like,
remember they like escaped through halls instead of you can at least like try and take a 5v6 like, and instead of just literally one person gets picked, everybody backs out through a hallway and then never take a fight until the end of third, in which case you're still getting picked, and then just it doesn't happen. I don't know. That was just some of the worst Overwatch I've seen London play.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's only between Fate and Muma, but because LA Valiant are underperforming so heavily, I think you gotta give it to Muma.
Should we have a chat about
Also, Miro was fucking insane this past week, but because it's only 1 week, there's no.
I couldn't even tell what he was doing. That was a weird thing. I was looking at his stats and being like, these are unbelievable
Yeah.
stats. But when I was watching the game, I couldn't tell that he was playing that well. It was weird. Like, normally the eye test and the stats correlate, right? And that's why we put value in stats, is that they actually correlate. They map onto reality and what you
I
can
would
see.
say one thing at least is that our team this week was not focused on farming tanks. It was like we were a lot.
What were you focused on?
There we go. Like a lot of the kills, if you notice, were like going onto the back line, and then the tanks would just run away when they knew the fight was lost. I think that was part of it, but he also just played well against Valiant, so it's not the whole reason.
Yeah, I would say though, not that it's a counterpoint, but I would say that Muma gets more value individually. Over
Yeah, he's a
Miro.
very individual
So while
tank.
Miro plays
Yes.
more with support ultimates and with his diva, Muma gets insane value from pretty much every fight. So Muma, best tank in Overwatch League, I guess we all agree on.
Maybe.
Unless XQC keeps up performances
Right.
like that, then honestly,
That would
I'm
be a
noticing-
sick
grudge
rivalry.
match. That's a
I'm
grudge
noticing
match.
a correlation here actually between people who fucking farm the shit out of ranked for ages, and were on shit tier teams, and being very good tanks. XQC and Muma fulfilling the criteria.
To be
Well,
fair,
two.
XQC
I mean-
was on a team that won like a
Mono is also like gold.
yeah,
Mono is also
Mono.
farming.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
farm ranked, right? Because it's the perfect playground. Like, you're not going to be supported by your team, so the only thing you can fucking do is individually carry the shit out of them. So you're just constantly training up in your mind how to in these scenarios when you're on fucking King's Row, you just know exactly what to fucking do. Farm the shit out of them. That's what Muma does.
It's almost
That's what
as
XQC
if
do.
practice makes perfect.
Almost,
what a
yeah.
weird, strange mantra. Did I just come up with that? Is that known?
No, I'm pretty sure I suggested it just
That
then.
was a Brenism.
Yeah,
That was a
I think that was a
Brenism.
Brenism.
Practice makes.
But that's what really,
Man.
boggles my mind is that XQC, he farms ranked for like 10, 12 hours a day. And so after a number of hours, you can't improve anymore because you're just so tired of grinding. So you're just pressing play for the sake of pressing play. You're just playing games for the sake of playing games.
You consider these
Wow.
wired differently.
He does drink 20 cans of Coke a day.
Yeah,
It's-
Keeps
he
you
might
focused.
die at the age of
Johnny
25.
does
And
20
over
lines of
here-
coke a day and he can't even keep up with that.
And over here, I'm like, mindful meditation, training, gym, workout, mental health, and XQC is just like, what up, my doggies? Let's fucking play ranked! Woo!
There's the quote that's gonna get the fanboys mad at Reinforce.
How so? What did I do wrong? It's
I don't
working
know.
out.
I
What the fuck?
thought
I'm
you
an
were
analyst,
XQC
and
for a
he's like one of the top tanks in Overwatch League. What the fuck? How can I even, what?
Listen,
What's up, my doggies?
Why would they ever go to me to I don't
Make
know.
her work for her house. That was my XQC impression.
I don't even know what you
said? I said make her work for her home or house. Whenever he DMX Diva and she's just in the fucking,
Maker, that's so
she's
funny.
in the little baby
Yeah.
Diva form. He's
You want to play a
make
game?
her work for her house.
The man is actually insane.
He
you
fucking
wanna
cracks
you
me
wanna
up.
play a game? Everyone's favorite XQC quote.
I mean, sure. I've already said mine. I don't think Josh watches his stream, so he probably doesn't know any.
I only know one XQC quote, and it was the one that got him banned, so I'm not going to repeat that one.
Harsha, what's yours?
I like his welcome to the jungle.
I actually like
when he
Muma.
beats his
Yes,
chest.
welcome to the. His fucking Winston impression gets me roaring every single fucking time. I don't think I can actually accurately do it. I mean, I'll attempt it now.
I just
does
wanted
he
to show
fucking-
off your
What does he
slim
do?
figure. Oh, the four-legged walk.
I just hear the
Just an
floor
8-man.
vibrating beneath me.
Bren's like, oh yeah, let's bang out these points, and then he's fucking roaming around the floor like a prehistoric primate.
That picture today as well, I look like a fucking Homo erectus. Is what I look like.
What's a Homo erectus?
Yeah,
We all know there's only one Homo erectus in this house, and he's sat on his bed over there.
too easy. It's too
There's a
easy.
good banter right now.
But my head was
easy.
like this
Too
this
easy.
far forward, like. Ugh.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the player.
No, me. Like I just crawled out of fucking primordial ooze from the ground. No, let's. We were talking about fact fiction, and we just started talking about Muma and XQC, and just
Well,
started.
I think
Those
all
are
of our
both
points were
tanks.
that. I think all of our points were that Muma.
Muma's just so good. Like, why would
Right,
you play it?
where-
I thought-
yeah.
Play
They
fast.
actually said, I think they said in an interview or something that it was just to stop fatigue. Like,
Okay.
as if you get signed to a team and it's just like, no, for real, mate, you are just going to be sat on the bench the whole time until Muma gets tired. So as long as you're all right with that, as long as
Okay,
that's
so-
okay, sign.
Here is the the coach. Fucking I don't know what to call it. They just need to sign one more support player, and they can
Yeah.
run in-house scrims. So that would be your go-to quote to fact fiction, just like, "Hey, we need a second tank for in-house scrims," and also you can just rep Team USA in our team.
Yeah, and in that case, they should have just signed Adam as well, and then
Yeah,
they could do
They
it.
still have time.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's on a contenders team.
He's on a contenders team,
But
right?
you can
He's
still
on,
sign him.
yeah.
XL2,
XL2?
double XL.
Yeah.
buy him out.
Double
Double
XL. These names are not great. Not
Is
gonna
that
lie.
Can we bring up that thing about talking about the academy teams? Someone
hell are you
had a
talking about?
theory. Someone had a theory why Flower was.
Oh, that was my theory.
Ah, yeah. I think
that
this
was
is super
brilliant.
interesting.
It's so smart. Can
I,
you tell us?
if that's actually what they're so my theory is that they aren't putting Flower in contenders because if you're on a contenders team, any Overwatch League team can approach you with a salary, and your own team has the opportunity to match it, but you can be offered a salary by any Overwatch League team. Whereas if they don't put him in contenders, then like teams can't really drive up his price if he's basically just going to go to XL next year anyways.
So
but-
Wait
smart.
a second.
But-
Wait. Just one point there that I want to hit on. Did you say that your team can offer the same salary and they have to outbid you?
And they have to out. No, I said that you can match. So
Okay,
any other
but
team.
Contenders team match, or is it only
No,
other owl
no.
team?
I think it's only.
So like,
Odova.
can you artificial drive it? Oh, right. Okay. All right.
But-
fuck that then.
The thing is, there was also a silhouette of a flower in the bottom, like under Mangachu's name, in that announcement So, and they're also allowed to have new players and contenders until week 5, I believe. So it could be a big debate.
He could also have been sold somewhere else though as well.
Yeah,
Because
I don't think he will.
the guy can't play in season 1.
I don't think he will go.
Oh my god! If
away
he
from.
went to Dallas Fuel instead of Rascal, that would be so good.
I think there's probably a 99% chance he plays for New York Excelsior next year.
Imagine Pine. Sorry, not Pine. Imagine Flower or any other like superstar flex DPS joining San Francisco Shock. How good would that be?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Fucking Flower and IDDQD. Let's fucking go.
Yes, absolutely. What a fucking dream duo. When I was making super teams back in 2016, that's who I would put together. Flower and IDDQD.
All right, how many Reddit accounts do you have, Josh? Tell us.
Brad, quickly, get me out of this conversation.
New subject. It was actually IDDQD coming in like, you said my name?
Yeah, he knocked on my door. He wants a word with you.
He crawled out from the cupboard underneath the stairs where the
Coach, is it my time?
Can I play now?
This is getting awkward. Move on, Bren.
Gambler to soul.
I wish they could have signed him stage 1.
That's what makes no sense to me. It's like he's one of the best Mercy players in the world. He's also a caller, but now you're going to field him over your other caller in the Lucio meta.
I think
how does that
happen,
make sense?
I think what's going to happen is they can run internal scrims, and also they have a Mercy.
Is that what it was?
They have a Mercy if the meta comes back, because I don't think Toby was very impressive on Mercy.
Do they actually have enough? Like, who else plays main tank?
They have Kuki.
Kuki, of course.
I actually thought
Kuki
Kuki was quite good in his like limited showings.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, he was.
He was very good.
But if you go back to aggressive meta now, then Kuki will obviously
then
never
Miro
be played
is,
over Miro.
then Miro's the clear.
Who do they have on off tank apart from Zumba?
Zephyr.
Of course, yeah. So now they can run in.
And fucking Guido on flex support. What up, boss? What up, boss?
Guido.
They'll be playing Guido and Gambler. Oh, that's really quite interesting because I thought it was super weird that London gave up their ability to play internal scrims after hyping it up so much.
No,
they were like super hyped about it, right? And then they sold two of their players.
I'm sure London will get 2 more players. I think that they're gonna have a system where they're just farming, like they're doing well every stage and then farming like player contracts.
You need to be like Boston, where Krusty, their coach, is actually a higher ranked player than everybody else on their team.
No,
so
I'm fairly certain.
No, he's not.
That's
Striker.
a
Smurf of Striker. Yeah,
Striker, yeah.
That's not actually Krusty.
Of course. I was amazed that Krusty was so high on the ladder. Of course, it's Striker. Is he just calling himself Krusty to take the piss out of how bad his coach is?
No. I think it's a pretty common. Like all of the New York players, they have a manager named Andrew, and they all have accounts named Andrew, but spelled differently, like with the and symbol, and then I don't know, just missing letters, stuff like that. So I think it's just a joke that Koreans like.
Just a yoke, a lovely Korean.
Right, let's talk about Super and Sinatra then. These guys are a hot commodity. Already picked up by Shock. Going to be coming into the games. End of stage 2. Not too much time to play them.
Only Sinatra can play end of stage 2.
Will he be playing straight away?
Don't know yet. We're going to incorporate him in scrims and see if that's the.
He seems to think he's playing straight away.
I mean, he's a very confident person. So I mean, fair enough. If you're
going to be laying down the whip.
Dante was actually playing pretty well when they were playing against Seoul. Dante had a great game. Like he had I think that was the best that I've ever seen.
Probably
Dante
the best
play.
Dante has played. Like that was his best performance. But
I've been super impressed with Dante.
You do have to keep in mind that if we just play straight dive, it could also just be Jay and Dante playing. So like it's or it could just be Baby Bay and Dante. Like if that's what works best. So I mean, we just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. But no, I mean, we've already talked about Super and Sinatra coming into the Shock in stage 2, I think, in a previous episode, so we won't dive too much into it. But
do you think that's actually going to save you? Do you think Super and Sinatra are the promised land?
I think they're very good players. I think also something that Super brings is he's like, even though he's like a 17-year-old like tiny kid, he like is actually like an alpha in game. I think
he's so funny as well.
I like
he is
Super a
funny.
lot.
He's a really likable guy. I think that,
I hugged him when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. No idea what the fuck the Super Bowl is. He was very emotional though.
That was great.
He's like crying.
He cares.
Yeah.
Tears of joy.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he'll actually be a really valuable addition wherever he goes because he can actually play any role. Like he plays Genji on stream mostly. So,
Johnny, if you had to construct a dream roster with Super and Sinatra actually on the team for Shock, who would you even field? Like, what positions would you field them in for you?
Well, I would put Super on main tank and then Sinatra on Tracer. What? What even is that question?
Well, because Super at the moment was like, or not at the moment, but historically was big enough the fact that you could play off tank. And like,
I think he was big enough the fact that he could play any hero. He was just
you could move Nevix over to flex DPS or something. Not flex DPS.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm good with that answer. I thought we were gonna bench my boy Nevix for a while, and I was like, May.
No. Well, what I'm asking is it better to run Super over Nomi? Because for me, Nomi has been they call him Nomi the problem, whatever his last name is.
I don't think that's what they call him.
That's what Josh calls him. He's going to be having some fucking beef with him after this.
Oh, I just think that Nomi has been playing poorly for the whole of the stage so far. Like he hasn't been doing what the team needs him to do. I feel like with your team where you have such a good backline, he should just be like the guy that's going in deep, playing like an individual style with whoever the Tracer is. But he doesn't seem to have that capability.
Midway through stage 1, I remember noting down some improvements in his tank play then. And I don't know, I haven't really been paying too much attention to it towards the tail end of stage 1, so I don't know if he's continued playing at a reasonable level that he picked up. But yeah, I do agree he was underperforming at the start of the league. I don't know. I can't wait to see Shock play in stage 2, to be honest. See what you guys are going to bust out the big guns. So when Coach Harsha is going to be subbing in.
Hell yeah.
Who do you not play in stage 2?
We don't play Philly.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, bullet. You don't play NYXL and then you don't play Philly?
Yeah, that actually,
no excuse for
has,
being bottom of the
that
table.
actually has turned out quite well. Even though it did seem at the beginning like the third best Korean team, and then Philly wasn't playing very well last stage.
That's the thing about Boston as well. Coming into stage 1, they didn't play against the Shanghai Dragons, which, let's be real, that's a free win. So for them to finish in 6th place, even without playing the Shanghai Dragons, and in fact playing everybody else.
And they lost versus the San Francisco Shock.
Who did Houston?
What is that?
I mean,
they lost to Shock and didn't play Shanghai.
and
they were one game away from playoffs.
I will say one thing. You will notice that for that meta, they benched Kalios right after they lost to us. Like we kind of
exposed him.
Yeah, we kind of exploited his playstyle. But
in what sense? What were you doing?
He was just so aggressive that it left his backline very vulnerable, and he was very punishable actually. And because people were calling Boston one of the best dive team actually, but I think it's really because people weren't really sure how to deal with the aggression. Whereas once Kalios kind of stopped playing, I think they toned it down a bit and then started playing more around Dream Casper's flexibility instead of just playing Tracer Genji pretty much every time and then just straight up diving.
Cool.
Oh, my point was, what was the one team that Houston didn't play stage 1?
I have no idea. I don't even know where to find that info unless I scroll through every team that they did play.
Kind of related here, because it moves on and it's talking about what teams didn't play who. But I was thinking earlier when we were talking about Shanghai Dragons, what team could Shanghai Dragons beat in stage 2? And I was going to make a fucking super controversial claim and say Valiant. With the way they are performing right now.
Against Valiant.
Yeah.
Did they?
They played against them like the second game of week 1, man.
No,
it's
they
the most
didn't.
recent game.
Turn off the podcast. Turn off. We're done.
I hope you.
No, they didn't.
Let's go home.
They did. That was the one where Kareev was playing DPS.
Yeah, and everybody was raging.
No, they didn't.
Even though Kareev
Mate,
has
it's
played
in
DPS.
the notes in our document. Kareev on DPS against
but not
Shanghai Dragons.
Oh, they did!
And it's after the point. It's after the point
It
we're
was
on
the
right
game
now.
I was on the desk for.
Yep.
No. Holy shit. That's unbelievable. I'm a fucking bot. Holy shit.
Just got a bad memory. Don't
I'm a fucking bot.
Some people were talking about like the public outrage to Karif playing on DPS, but I didn't actually read any of it.
Why was there public outrage?
They were mad because
Grim Reality is my friend, and he's on the bench.
Yeah, that was kind of what it
was.
was.
That it?
Yes, but I mean, I think that people were saying there's clear Korean bias. Well, you have to take into account that their new coach was the coach of Mighty AOD and did put Kariv on DPS, and it actually was quite good. Like, Kariv was the standout on that team when he was playing DPS. So, like, I don't know. I think that if they want to try it, they can try it. Like,
they were in a super hard group of Apex. They had to play against Rogue and against Lunatic High.
And Kongdu.
Yeah, but Kongdu, they actually switched it around. To be fair, that was the game they won, and that was when Kariv was on Zen. But I think he was just like so good at Zen that they realized this was something they could exploit.
And thanks to Kariv and the gang, they lost one fight with 6 ultimates and made sure Rogue didn't make playoffs. Good job, Kariv and Mighty AOD. God help Western Overwatch. Fucking dreaded seeded groups in Apex every season. Never got any better.
That's the worst group that there will ever be in Overwatch.
You guys remember when AF Blue made playoffs in Apex Season 1? What a joke, man.
You had the best team in the world, the second best team in the world, a top 5 team in the world, and a top 15 team in the world, all in one group of Apex. That's fucking nuts.
Yes.
Like, that's way worse than... In fact, that's way worse than any, apart from the other one that Johnny's on about, where they had Lunatic High, LW Blue, Misfits, and AF Red was just a punching bag, just getting fucking beaten up every game. Because they weren't even that bad, but they were in with like 3 legit teams.
3 of the top 5 teams, probably.
Number 1, number 2, and then probably like 6 or 7. I'm not going to overrate you guys.
All right.
That was a long time ago. I don't even remember if we were good or shite, so...
It was a long time.
People hyped you up, but you were pretty shy.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
I thought it was not a secret at this point anymore.
Taimu on Winston. As the paint is getting into my eyes, I'd like to move this along. Taimu on Winston, Seagull on Diva is the name
is
of the game.
Is that Seagull on Diva thing true, or is that just something that people...
He said it in an interview.
He did.
It's what we said forever. We're just like, just put Seagull on the flex off-tank role.
He's a very smart
you can take credit
player,
for that,
to be honest.
I thought Mickey was one of the worst players on Dallas, and then like I thought he had a really big uptick in performance. Like I thought he was actually playing fairly well towards the end of stage 1.
Oh, at the end of stage 1? I think that might have been just because they were playing more Roadhog.
They're playing more
Roadhog. Like everyone got really hyped about Mickey Roadhog. That is true. Me personally, I thought Mickey was the problem in Dallas Fuel's tank line. It wasn't so much Coco, but the fact that Taimu and XQC both came in and it made such a massive difference makes me think that maybe I was totally off the mark on that one, and actually Mickey isn't that bad.
I think Coco was the problem.
Rip.
No comment from Johnny.
If only they had an aggressive tank. Now they have XQC, I guess.
If only.
Is this
Taimu on Winston? Is this obviously not really the case too much because I guess you got XQC, presuming he doesn't get suspended.
I don't know what you do with Taimu anymore.
But yeah, what do you do with Taimu now?
I think he needs to be traded and put on like.
Okay, but here's the thing: the thought experiment is what team? What team would you ever put Taimu on?
So what does he need? He needs someone alongside. Yeah, I mean that would see that sounds like a joke, but if he plays alongside Ado, he would play the same kind of style because Ado can play Genji and he can play Tracer.
Yeah,
and he's actually pretty good at both.
Then you've got Undead versus Taimu in terms of raw mechanics, raw aim.
I think
Taimu would be better
if he's playing confident. Like at the moment, his form isn't too good, and Undead, the entire team is built around him.
To a new team.
That would be such a weird team as well if you think about it.
Also, I don't think Taimu would play for Shanghai.
He wouldn't. For sure, he wouldn't.
Like
exactly.
The guy's a bit more humble now, but he's not humble enough to join a 0-11 team. That's not humble. That's just like slitting your own throat, isn't it? That's like career suicide.
I don't think it'll be in season 1. I think season 2 maybe he goes somewhere else.
Yeah, I just like thinking about it. What other team in the Overwatch League would Taimu join?
I think they also do want to keep him around just in case. Like I think XQC is probably going to be fine, but just in case, like you never know.
Yeah.
Do you think Taimu could get good at Genji or Tracer? Like his playstyle is so so diametrically opposed to
Yeah.
what we think of as like other top Genshin traces. But according to a recent interview, he was like, I could learn different heroes. I've just never been allowed because my team always needed me to be the carry. So we just never played that. And then when they were playing in the previous meta, when Effect actually joined, he was only it was Soldier 76 Tracer. So he was just playing the Soldier 76. Like at no point it seems as he had room or space to learn Genji.
They did play him on Genji, Junkrat, Pharah. Do you remember that one match against who was it? They actually played
in Contenders.
It must have been
Oasis Gardens.
It might have been. Yeah, he played literally like 1/3 of a map on Genji.
Yeah.
So you're
it
not
wasn't a bomb. It was just bad.
Yeah, but I really like a point here that it was something you told me, Sideshow. That like it was sort of something similar. Like the best players play their natural instinctive game. That's just so. It's like, how many players have you seen become the best in the world unless they were naturally very talented at that hero already? You never see someone just grind their way to become a good Genji. Either you're really good at Genji from the get-go, or...
I think Genji's also a very special case where, like, I don't know, I feel like all the...
Yeah, but even Tracer,
Yeah. All right, what's the consensus here? Yes, he can learn it. I mean, anyone's really capable.
I think he can
I don't know.
I think main tank is very different from any other role, in a sense that it's a lot more about thinking, unless you're me.
So here's
or
my argument.
I think he could do main tank. I just
my argument is that if you
could
are
learn it, but
capable
mechanically, no other hero could you learn.
He's actually like a real, like, I would say he's a pretty smart player, like in terms of game sense and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think he
could be a decent tank. It's just, is he talented enough at the main tank role to reach those standards? And I think maybe Winston. But unless you're a really good Reinhardt from the get-go, or at least have some talent to Reinhardt, it's very hard to grind your way up from like a Masters or Grandmaster Reinhardt to even pro player.
The flute has been called.
The flute of moving on to the next point.
The flute of interruption has been played. It is time to move on to the next topic and potentially final topic. We shall talk about EQO, the boss man. He's pretty good, isn't he, Johnny?
Yeah, he plays a bit more aggressive.
Next topic. No, I'm not fucking with you. Carry on.
It also stems from the fact that Shadowburn was the best Genji in the world for like 2 years straight. Do I want to make that? Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, that's not a
so
bad
everyone,
claim.
literally every time you play versus Shadowburn, you're just like, okay, we're going to harass and shut down Shadowburn. And so Shadowburn has just become a paranoid player. And now EQO comes in and he's like, mate, I'm just going to fuck shit up. Because no one cares.
One of the funniest interactions I think that people have with Shadowburn is that Zenyatta's will often like just save trans for Shadowburn's blades, but then Shadowburn will save his blades for when they use trans. So it's like a game of chicken.
So here's the thing.
Or just put Discord on him.
The way that you're setting this up, like you're saying that people respect EQO less, and therefore he's getting away with more.
I don't think that's actually true.
I don't know whether that's true. Like,
no. I think that EQO is.
Do you think if Shadowburn just played more balls to the wall, he would get the same success that EQO is having?
No, because people would target him more. I think EQO is getting away with it because people are like, it's EQO. They're more worried about Fraggy, I think, than EQO. But in 2 weeks' time, maybe it's different.
I guess maybe the meta is totally different as well. Like maybe if Shadowburn was playing,
no, Shadowburn has had the same style for ages.
Well, I think
it's always been like this.
I think the thing about Shadowburn is that him and like putting him on an aggressive dive team is kind of weird because he's not like an aggressive player. Like he will only take his chances when he sees like there's clear dash resets and like a path to victory. But like otherwise, he's going to just stay back and poke and then get blade really fast and then save it for a long time. But like.
Well, actually, EQ does that as well.
Yeah, well, he actually does save his blades.
He goes in aggressively though with just his raw stuff, like,
and it matches really well with Carpe, who I think it might be the most aggressive player in all of Overwatch.
And also, when people talk about holding onto their blades and therefore being like passive or whatever, the actual use of the blade is still pretty passive. Or like, it's only when Shadowburn sees that he can directly win a fight with it
Yeah.
or save a fight with it, I think he uses it. Whereas Eco is just like, yeah, fuck it, let's fucking blade in, let's go, which is mental. But the game happens so fast that for a while it was really difficult for Genjis to be able to actually get success out of their blades. Like the Diva would fuck with you, the Lucio would be up in your face and like be able to boop you around, like the Winston would land or use Primal and knock you around. So I don't really, I have not still figured out like how guys like Eco or who else was playing a boss fucking Genji, Dreamcasper as well. Like I still don't quite understand how these guys are getting away with it. It must be the rest.
I think
that I don't know how.
I think that, first of all, in the old meta, you got a Mercy damage boost and a Discord on target, so you could even kill people through Transcendence, whereas that's not happening anymore. I think that's like a big part of it. I think also, I think that you just have to be more, like, this is like kind of weird, but I think Genji's going to struggle a lot more in this meta, even though he's...
No, I agree.
I think he's I think he's doing a lot without his blade, but I think his blades will just be shut down.
Like there's Lucio in the mix now compared to before.
Yeah, you can't even get on the target.
Exactly,
like
he's just gonna boop you back.
That's the thing. You shouldn't be able to get on the target, but
I think that if you give it a bit of...
Well, a lot of these teams as well, there's scenarios where they don't run a Lucio still. So like you see Ana Zen on Hanamura first, for example, a couple of times. There's various scenarios where they're not running a Lucio, so the Genji, like you're not consciously thinking about it at the time, but they can easily get onto the backlines. Like the only threat they've got is a Diva, to Winston, or a Sleep Dart. So
I think that you'll start to see less and less value coming out of Genji unless they're, like you're saying, they're running something without a Lucio, like they're running the Mercy Zen or whatever, the Ana Zen as well on Hanamura.
There's also still maps where Mercy is still ran, so you can still get the damage going. Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, yeah. That was the classic one.
Here's another question, though. Do you think we're actually accidentally overrating Philadelphia Fusion because they played against Boston, who looked to be massively struggling compared to last stage, and then they played against Florida Mayhem, who still haven't got their shit together? I think there's a slight chance. In fact, I think there's
Thursday is going to be the true test, isn't it, when they play against Houston?
Because Philly have a style at the moment where if you can't counter them, they're going to fucking dominate you. They're going to dumpster you because their players are so good and they play so aggressive. But I think some of these teams might be able to do shit.
Yeah, that's where
I don't think Eco's getting away with this against everyone.
Exactly. So that's where it comes down to: can they counter Eco or the EQO? Fuck, that's a mouthful. So we'll have to see. I think that. No, that's a discussion for another time. Harsha,
I'm actually so glad I'm not on a desktop day because that is going to be such a hard prediction to make.
I think there's a reasonable chance that Philly might be overrated, but I still think they're probably a top half of the table team right now. Like I think that's probably going to stay true. We also haven't even spoken about Carpe, who is, I think
he was.
I think for my money, he has been.
Nutty player.
I think he might have been. I don't think he's been the MVP, but I think he might have been the best player throughout Overwatch League so far.
The sole reason they won against New York in stage 1.
Ooh, Fleta?
The best players so far in Overwatch.
I think Carpe might have. It's like a hard.
Because are you saying MVP? Like
no, I'm saying it wasn't MVP.
Literally the best.
I think just like raw mechanics, and like. I don't think he's been the most impactful in that sense. I think he's been just the best in terms of what he's shown he can do. I don't know if that...
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, and I definitely think that Carpe is one of the guys where if his team has success and he ends up like fucking dominating, people will talk about him like that.
He was plus 80 through 2 games
I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see too much of that through stage 1. I mean, I definitely did, and he's very consistent, but he wasn't like. I think Fleder's definitely got to be in that conversation.
Yeah,
Birdring after his performance in the finals, I think, has got to be in that. Although maybe that's more of an MVP kind of thing. Striker was fucking nuts throughout
Striker was
it.
Good.
Casper had a great stage 1 as well. Who else?
I think part of the reason Boston is struggling, because we talked about or touched on it at least. I think part of the reason Boston's struggling is because in the old meta you could get away with double pocketing your flex DPS and then having them do things like one of Boston's strategies that they used a lot was they would double pocket Dreamcasper and get him to build his blade really fast, whereas that's not a thing you can do without Mercy. It's not something that they've been able to get away with. But to be fair, they haven't played too much Genji this stage, so maybe that's not the full reason. There must be like other stuff to it.
Do you know when Snillo turns 18?
I believe stage 3.
Oh, is it stage 3? Because I wonder if he's just going to come out with some fucking nuts performance as well. Because so far, all of the people that have just been added, He's pretty good. His Soldier 76 is fantastic.
Yeah.
His,
EQO can also
his
flex
Tracer
to
is pretty
anything.
good.
As far as I know, EQO can field any
He
hero
did play
in the game.
Roadhog.
It's crazy that Philly have got such a stacked bench when other people's benches are so poop, actually.
Yeah. Fucking Sado.
Alright.
Sado!
Jeez.
Oh, I'm so hyped to see that guy play
He's
as well. I've never seen him play apart from when I've been stood behind him. But the fucking the way that other people talk about him, shit, it's like, give me that guy, please.
He's also a player that literally plays anything, but is just a tank by choice.
It's nuts.
Just like me?
Listen, if you can boost, on anything, and you're a tank main, that's great.
I completely forgot about Sado. I completely forgot with him being fucking...
They've got some late stage kick to them.
They don't even
take
take pictures with him.
Shit.
We saw them at Media Day and he wasn't there.
Fucking hell. Wow, brutal. Jesus. Anyway, speaking of the bench and suspended players, the final topic that Josh has filled in is who would you bet would never get any playtime at all?
Numlocked.
This is my favorite banter question. Numlocked is definitely the pick.
You think that just straight up?
Well, that is always like my classic go-to. I love asking people this question, but I think Numlocked is definitely like the fact that he came out in an interview and he was, oh no, it was a stream, wasn't it?
It was a
and
stream.
He was like, I'm not even getting scrim time. Like that's
fucking brutal.
I think it's probably also likely that Grim doesn't get played, even though I think that Grim has really good aim.
Yeah, Grim's a good choice as well because also all of the heroes he plays, somebody else on his team can play it better.
Yeah.
Like even the McCree, Soon is a better McCree, I think. Historically, we've seen Soon like play against better teams.
What about Snow?
That's a pretty decent shout, I think. Neko's been very good. Unless there's some kind of weird triple support meta.
Could run it.
Neko's been real good.
Yeah.
Who are some other for me what do you call it? The Numlocked thing and like the fact that they don't play him on the bench just sets them up for further career suicide as well, because in any case, if like Fate does, say Fate has a wrist injury or whatever, the same as Ark had, and then they have to field Numlocked, they're obviously going to lose if they've never had scrim time with the guy. Like if he's never scrim with them, they're going to lose, and then people are going to play Numlocked because he's going to look shit because he's never scrim with them.
Yeah.
Kareem for main tank.
Killed.
Kareem for main tank.
And then we'll see a very upset Dogman.
A very upset Dogman.
He was the one that was upset about Grim.
Oh, I see. Was that what it was? Who else is there? There's some of the classics. Like, I think once the Shanghai Dragons players get on, is there anybody that hasn't been fielded so far for the Shanghai Dragons? I think they...
No, Five Kings played, and who's the other one?
Altering and Free Field,
that's it.
They've all played.
Wait, there's 3 supports, correct?
Yes, and they're all the show players.
It's kind of funny to me because Guido would have been in this conversation unless Seoul Dynasty were like, we're gonna bench Ri-Jae Hong.
Well, they even bench fucking Who Are You? Like, and played Guido.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they're willing to do anything.
Wait,
one more.
What about Hurek?
No,
do you think Hurek gets played
versus
again?
What?
You know, Hurek he was actually second most, or had the second highest damage per 10 minutes, but most likely because he only played Pharah and Soldier. Yeah,
he was actually crushing on Pharah.
Yeah.
Who when London played versus Seoul Dynasty, they fielded 11 players.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was Closer who didn't play. That was it.
Was it Closer?
So I answered my own question.
I thought
that's not right.
Wasn't it
Did
Fisher?
Closer play versus Seoul Dynasty?
It was Fisher, wasn't it?
I think it was Fisher that didn't play.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
We could both be wrong. I mean,
about my own question.
I'm uncertain about it.
No, it was because I saw them sub in like Hagapin and Closer. That was the whole talking point.
Yeah,
of that
you
game.
kept talking about the 4-man, the rule of 4.
The rule of 4, the core of 4.
Yeah.
No more memes to be found.
Maybe Snello. Like maybe it's Snello. Like the guy's really good, but he's competing with Carpe for his spot, and he only comes active in stage 3.
There's so many players that could potentially never be played. You can make the argument for a lot. The trouble is, it's such a hard question because the way
fact
the
fiction
will develop. I mean, fact fiction. There you go, another one. But like, it's there's so many variables that you need to consider, which is like the whether somebody gets injured or whether the meta changes, whether fucking we see some quad tanks, some triple support shit.
It's just a fun way of framing the question: who do you think is potentially one of the most useless players in the league?
Yeah, but I'm gonna cut it off.
Yeah. With those standards, Bren would be benched pretty soon as well.
Me? The fuck is going on here?
I've heard they're talking
to
the British people.
Turn it off! We're done.
Yo, can't be throwing shade at the Brenji like this. Not when I'm dressed up. I'll come in there with my noodle and just fucking spank your face.
I have your noodle.
I'll spank your face with it even still.
Bren has another noodle.
Yeah. I have one other noodle hidden away.
And with that, let's kill it.
In your bedroom tonight, Johnny. And on that note, let's end the podcast because my back is genuinely fucked on this chair. These bar stools are not meant for hour-long conversations. Fucking hell.